And I highly encourage people to start their own music venues and podcasts and write their own books and make their own films, make your own video games, because it's going to inspire the people to do the same. And once we do that, there's going to be this lack of hopelessness that I think a lot of people feel, where it's like, okay, well, now I know I can do it. And that empowers you. Okay, I did this project. Now what can I do?
What's up, everybody? It's the Poorly Edited Podcast, the show where we put a spotlight on some of the most creative minds we can find, as best as a couple college kids can do.
Very well every week. Very well.
April I messed it up.
April Fools.
Oh, jeez. We're here live at WXLV The X. I'm Chandler Davis.
My name is Coffee Guy.
My name is Patrick Lilly.
We got Josh Brennan on the camera, who we didn't think was going to be here. I guess Josh...
Hesitant beatboxer, Josh
Hesitant
Brennan.
beatboxer. He did not want to beatbox in the intro since we don't have internet and we can't play a song. But
Here at the radio station.
here at the but we didn't think Josh would be here today, so he kind of April Fool's us. It's the April Fool's episode, so that'll hopefully be the justification for all the bad jokes. We're here with Brandon Wunder. What's up, man?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
Amazing. It's an incredible life we're living.
And what do you do?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I'm just interested in a lot of things, and I try to help people do what they're interested in too, I guess, is the most simple way you could put it. And those efforts are kind of handled through the Alternative Gallery, a nonprofit I started 7 years ago, focusing on visual art and music and graffiti and street art and film and animation. We're trying to inch more into technology now. So it's really creatives of all types. And we try to focus on these unique mediums, which you don't see a whole lot of in galleries and museums.
There's a lot to unpack there, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Loaded.
Yeah. Let's talk about it for the next hour.
But before we get to that, how were all of your weeks this past week? What did you guys do?
No,
Anybody?
Pat goes first.
I go first?
Pat goes first.
We went to a Mom Jeans concert.
We did?
Which was awesome.
It was. We actually, before the show, it was at the Bethlehem Arts Quest. It is
Wait,
Quest.
is it? Yeah,
and there's ArtsFest, there's Arts Quest, there's a lot of arts.
It was at Steel Stacks.
It was at the Steel Stacks, which is a beautiful venue, by the way.
It was great because the Mom Jeans got on stage, and then they're like, we don't know why we booked this. We booked this place, and we hadn't seen it before, and we came here, and it's really nice, so don't mess this up for us, and treat everybody nicely.
Like, we don't deserve this.
Yeah, it
really
shouldn't
have happened, so let's enjoy it.
Because they had the stage set up, and then there was two bouncer guys, which I guess is normal just to have. And then but the crowd is a bunch of 20-year-old kids at a punk concert.
It was very out of place.
Anticipating. So they had I think they had 4 bouncers by the end of the night.
Yeah.
So they were catching people crowd surfing.
Yeah.
And people were vaping the
Moshing.
entire time. Yeah. It's pretty great.
It was really good. And and it was just kind of meanwhile, below that floor, it was a bunch of very well-to-do adults listening to very classy pianist playing and stuff like that. And then upstairs is us who are just throwing ourselves at each other and screaming.
I like that though. That's cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
We pulled in and there was a bunch of people in their 50s and 60s walking in. We're like, what's going on?
They're they're not here for that.
But apparently Pat Metheny was playing upstairs, who they were probably there for. Yeah, arguably. Although there were some moms in the crowd at Mom Jeans.
That's appropriate.
Yeah.
They left very quickly.
Yeah, no, they got really annoyed when we started having fun.
That's how it happens. But actually, I like that. That's might be my favorite venue to go see shows now, though, because it's very lax. It seems so lax that all of the band members from everyone we saw that night were just mingling and hanging out amongst everybody else at the concession areas downstairs. So we're standing there, Pat's in the bathroom, and I'm just looking around and waiting for him. And I just see, I'm like, is that literally the lead singer of Mom Jeans just standing there in line right now? What's going on?
He was waiting for a hot dog.
Yeah, he was just in line for a hot dog, and we mustered up the strength to to go talk to him. And so we got to meet.
Did you relish the moment?
We really did. I did. It was Josh is gone.
I gotta catch up to Josh.
Josh, he left. He's out. So we got to talk to Eric, the lead singer of Mom Jeans, which was amazing. It's like it's one of my favorite bands of all time. So I was very excited and awkward. And I'm sorry if you're listening, Eric. I'm sorry.
It's probably not.
Like, I have a show on Monday. Listen, 4 o'clock. I heard radio.
But yeah, no, they were all really cool dudes, and that was amazing. He was very nice. So yeah, it was a really fun show. So we had that, and then we've been filming at the Bethlehem Area Public Library. We've been doing some stuff for them. That's been very fun. We were filming, rubbing our hands together very fast in the mic. We were filming there. He and I were filming there yesterday, 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
2 days ago. And that's been very fun. They do a lot of stuff there for a library. A lot of stuff going on.
Dude, I when people go hard at book sales.
They really do. Yeah, it was wild, dude. It was crazy. Because I guess there's a bunch of book vendors, from all around the valley, and they all congregate at events like that to buy books to sell, turn around and sell at their shops. Because there's a lot of gems there for sure if you know where to look. And so it was just like a free-for-all, dude, It was very interesting.
I managed to get 4 Stephen King books for $5.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
It's crazy.
They have a really amazing film collection too there.
Yeah, they do like film. They had a whole wall of DVDs.
Yeah.
Several copies of Jarhead for some
They did.
reason.
It was a lot of
That was interesting. But yeah, they do a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect a library to do. A lot of like film screenings.
Yeah,
They
I just did one there a few weeks back.
found footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was cool. We had some good stuff out of that. And we'd bring out film projectors for that too.
Yeah. Some real
reels.
Yeah.
Yep. 8mm, Super 8, 16.
Wow.
We got 35, but that's not too transportable, so that kind of stays
right.
back.
Good, you leave that there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue into. So you're a filmmaker.
Once again, I took a break, but yes, I'm back.
So you say you took a break. So
Yes.
You used to be more.
Yes. It was always my dream and desire to make movies ever since I was a very young child. Couldn't tell you exactly what age, but it was probably like between 4 and 5, somewhere around there. And yeah, I always toyed around and played with cameras and staged potential movie shoots and stuff like that, wrote scripts. And as, a teenager, I got serious about shooting a few things. And then, when I was 22, I took off to New York City to go live my dream. And then I did that for a little over 5 years, and I moved back here to Lehigh Valley because that's what you should do. You should be super creative, go see the world, and then bring that amazing experience back to Lehigh Valley because we need it here. And through a bizarre series of twists and turns and sideways steps, I ended up starting the Alternative Gallery. And so I kind of put it on hold while I helped others create their art, and it was very rewarding. I'm very happy that I did it the way I did.
Wow. That really does sound like a journey.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's been amazing. I'm very proud of the path I took, but I would not recommend anyone ever take the path I took because it was very complex and yeah, don't do it. But I'll give you advice. The best I can. Take it for what it's worth.
That's really interesting. I mean, it sounds like I was the exact same way when I was younger. Very, very early age. You knew what you wanted to do and just making random stuff.
Well, we're lucky in that way because most people never, ever, ever figured that out. Yeah, I knew it like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
in a way, I've always felt like a kind of guilt about that to see so many unhappy people.
Bro, same.
Because they never found what they love. And I found movies were just one of the many things I found along the way.
Yeah.
And now I get to mix all these things together with all kinds of unique people who inspire me. And, now I'm in a position where I can do my stuff again and I'm so inspired by what everyone else is doing. It's just, that's my motivation. That's what fuels my fire.
Yeah, for sure. I know what you mean. Like when people, because I've had people ask me like, well, how do I find the thing, like that thing for me? It's like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
you can't answer
I
that.
got lucky.
Yeah, like I got very lucky. That it
I guess
clicked for
know
me.
who you are. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just such a complex.
How do you tell somebody to do that?
Yeah,
It's not as simple as just, going out to the desert for 24 hours and all of a sudden you've had this revelation and you're now a more complete version of yourself. Like, if we could do that, we would prescribe it, but it's not. It's different for everyone.
I feel like that's supposed to be what high school's for. You're supposed to try a bunch of stuff and see what you like, but I feel like
it's more like colleges for.
I mean, I think both kind of.
I feel like I was too underdeveloped as a human being.
Well, they say now that we don't reach a true adulthood until early 30s, and I think that's becoming later and later just because of basically technology prolonging life. And our adolescence is now longer. So I think my friend had a really interesting observation. He said that he thinks that most people are observers until they're about 30. And then from there, they're kind of solidified in what they're going to be doing. And then they start doing it from there. And I obviously it's a case by case basis, but I think overall it's pretty on the money. I really do.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a really
very
good word for it too.
Yeah.
On the money?
No, observers.
Oh,
Observers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because now that I think about it, I feel like that sums up what I'm at right now anyway.
For sure.
I'm just observing.
And that's what experience is. You're really just collecting pieces of things to kind of add to yourself and what you become. It's really undetermined until it happens.
Yeah, it took me a while, and then pieces of things, like realizing that what I was attracted to with people was like passion and creativity. And that goes along with what you said about being inspired, like fueled by what other people are doing.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how motivated you are. If you don't have motivation, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's simple. You need to have a way to apply it to something. You know, you could be the most talented person in the world, but you sit on the couch forever, that talent just goes to waste with you. So that's what I try to do. And, and I really think that one of the worst things for an artist are too much freedom. Not enough deadlines. You know, we need that structure to work within. Like, if I don't finish this project by this date, it's never going to get finished. And the quicker you put away a project, guess what? The quicker you can start another one. Which us as artists, I'm sure you all do this. You're starting 30 more projects before you finish one. You know, that's part of my process, I like to say, but it actually is a part of my process. I see a lot of people that they're unable to complete things.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, some projects weren't like supposed to be finished, but I think oftentimes they were really onto something. They just didn't like make it all the way. So we try to help each other out and push each other to keep going. And I think more than anything, my inspiration has been bands, like really talented bands who have made like near masterpiece albums, which no one will ever hear because they just couldn't get their acts together. Like right in the finishing touches of it too. Like it's recorded, it's mixed, just needs to be mastered and put out in a physical release or whatever. And just no one will ever hear it just because discrepancies among what we should do with it.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks. It's really unfortunate.
I agree. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
You just got to do it, man.
And the world needs more creativity, not less.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how much you can never get too much of that. Truly.
I know Kevin Smith always says it costs nothing to encourage an artist.
Nice. I like that.
I really agree with that. You know, it's like if you just give them that extra push, that could be the thing that makes them do that thing, you know?
And I really respect him because he's a guy who's always done things his way. And not even so much his way. He's made what he's wanted to make.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what.
No matter, right? No matter how goofy it got.
That was really only for him, I think.
Yeah. But he's great. I'm glad that they're doing the reboot right now, and he survived his heart attack. So props to Kevin Smith. Can't wait to see the
got
reboot.
in shape real quick too.
I know.
I was like, man.
Oh my
yeah. I know. I'm proud of him.
He's
I
looking
really
good
am.
now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Best shape
the
of his life.
jerseys fit even loose on him. Even more loose on him now.
Yeah, that was really, his like the entire process of making Clerks was like insane.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think he was working at the place they shot Clerks.
Yeah.
And he could only get it at night because it was closed then, so they shot everything black and white.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah.
I love how
Maxed out all his credit cards.
Yeah.
I love how the second one ends with that tracking shot that goes to black and white.
Yeah.
Ah, it's so great. I'm really bummed they didn't make the third one. And the cartoon's amazing too.
I know. No one's ever seen the cartoon.
They should bring
I
it back.
watched that.
It's so good.
it's
I'm
really funny.
I'm like blown away by how good it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. Thanks, Kevin Smith.
Thanks.
So you're actually, as a filmmaker, you're directing. You directed a documentary
Yes, I did.
about ArtsFest.
Yes. So it was shot at ArtsFest. I guess you can say it's about ArtsFest, but it's not the history of ArtsFest. It's not educational or informative in that way. Because, you know, when you mention documentary, everyone kind of has a clear picture of what it is. Talking heads with, you know, the Ken Burns effect over it, a photo and some stock, you know, B-roll footage. It's not that at all. There's no context into the history of the event or why we do it. I'm not interested in getting that across.
There's no David Attenborough.
No. I love David Attenborough, but this is totally different subject matter. And this is more to kind of like create a certain type of experience about what it's like to be at the festival. And there's no narration, there's no voiceover, there's no interviews. I tried to be as discreet as possible when filming stuff as to not interrupt. It's more of a direct cinema style or fly in the wall. I don't want to disrupt. I want to capture as reality is unfolding and then present it in, you know, a certain structure that makes sense as far as, you know, a film viewing experience. So yeah, it really came together great. We had about a dozen videographers who shot footage for us, including 2 drones, a 16 millimeter film camera. So there's some film work in it as well. And it's really a one-of-a-kind film. And I'm obviously going into it, you have no idea what it's going to be. And about a month and a half ago, I thought I was making the worst thing that's ever come out of Lehigh Valley. And fortunately, I don't think that's the case now. I think it's really great. It's a feel-good watch. You get a real sense of pride if you were involved with the event in any way, even if it's just as, an artisan or a performer at the festival or even a volunteer. There's only one other person aside from myself, and that's my assistant director, who's watched the entire film. I haven't shown it to anybody yet because I want to have the kind of shared experience. And I have shown moments though to people who have been affiliated with it, and some of them did get a little emotional. Wow. So I think it's pure because ArtsFest. I mean, it's hard to make a bad film about ArtsFest because it's just such a cool event, and to have the shared experience in a theater like that, I think it's going to be impactful. And I think when people find out we made the film for only $700, it's going to inspire them to make their own $700, $200 film because it can be done. It's really us that holds yourselves back from doing these projects. So it's a big thing I try to talk to people about. No, let's get your project going. If you don't do it now, you're going to say you're going to do it tomorrow. Just start it today and pick it up again tomorrow, And yeah, like I said, ArtsFest it was an amazing subject matter for it. And I think it's going to come across very clearly about what it's like to be at the festival. I really do.
Wow.
All right. On that note, we're going to go break real quick. But we'll be right back.
Very excited to talk about that more.
Stick around.
Hey, we're back. We
ads and music both don't want to work.
We forgot
that's cool.
the technical difficulties we're having because that's not working.
This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, what's interesting is
that this happens to us once every 6 months.
Because I Hate Kate was just broadcasting from here and so everything was working. Shout out to I Hate Kate.
We start beef here WXLV between the only.
No, we were actually we want to do maybe a crossover thing one of these because she goes live right before us. So me and Chris were talking about maybe doing a bleed through into from the end of her show into our time slot kind of crossover thing maybe.
I hate the poorly edited podcast.
That'd be funny.
Exactly.
We could join. We have a lot to say about that.
Could go for hours. So Brandon, you made this documentary and you said that it's at least to me, it sounds like it's a very interesting documentary stylistically in the way you approached it. Were some of those limitations you set of you don't want interviews, you don't want this and that, and you want it to be a very purist view of those events. Were those hard to limit yourself to those things? Was it easier? How was that?
Both. There were moments where I really wished that something fascinating was happening, that we could have stopped and talked to that person and got their take on it. So, of course, you learn things from it. I don't regret that those aren't in the film because I think it doesn't offer commentary. I think it just exists for what it is, and it's up to you to decide what it is. And it's not done in this... It's very loose and easy to follow. It's a quick, tight watch. There's no pretension in it. It's not trying to be anything specifically. I tried to, while cutting it together, create the most honest view of what I experienced based on the pieces I had to show that. And that's just what I want to go for stylistically this year. Now we are planning to shoot more in the future. I might plan to do, a more traditional style documentary. I just think ArtsFest is still, we're going into our 6th year, and the first 2 years I kind of joke were just practice for us because we got slapped so hard by rain that we kind of got drowned out. So I think ArtsFest is still too new to really do a comprehensive coverage of it because it's growing quickly. And when it becomes a more concrete version of what it's going to become, that's when I'm more interested in okay, this is how we got here and this is where it's going. So right now I just wanted to show little glimpses into it in the meantime.
And so you're doing a premiere soon?
Yes. April 11th at the Emmaus Theater. And it's a one-night only screening. This film, although we have shared footage for it online, we will not be putting it online, at least at this point. The only way I would ever release it online is if we had a distribution deal or we self-distribute it so that the performers featured in the film could get a cut. That's beyond us at the moment. So that is something we may still pursue in the future. There are a lot of other projects in the pipeline. But the fact is, I didn't want to wait. I wanted to get this out there. I wanted to show people, especially we're the halfway point right now between Artist 2018 and ArtsFest 2019. So right now is the perfect time to bring it out. Now as we're gearing up. So yeah, one night only at Emmaus Theater. It's going to be a great shared experience. And another reason I want to do it as a live screening, was that with the digital age, you don't get a lot of that anymore. A lot of, you still have movie theaters, but people are really only going out for bigger things. Yeah. And this is going to be a room filled of people that were either involved with it or are friends with people who are involved with it. So that's really amazing. And we don't get that a lot. There aren't a whole lot of film premieres in Lehigh Valley. And I'll tell you what, as great as this film, as great as I think it is at least, this is the start of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just talking about as far as my film work. I'm hoping to lay a really solid foundation for actual independent cinema in Lehigh Valley. I'd love to. We're about to start up a production company called 10th Ward Films, which will lead to, in the future, eventual film studio, like sound stages, equipment, classes, local theaters showing these works. We want to revive some old theaters that are still standing. So this is just a piece of it, and I'm really excited to see. The Lehigh Valley has amazing, amazing potential, and if we're not going to do it, nobody is. So this is why I really wanted to come and talk to you guys, because I know this is the kind of stuff that you're into, the kind of people you like to deal with. We need to get together. This has to be a massive collaborated effort because we can't do this solo. Even as much as I've done in 7 years, I am far from where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. So the more people we can get involved with this, and this is a massive project. I mean, between ArtsFest itself and the film, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of people who were involved with this. And we made it for $700. I could have made it for $0 if I had to. I just wanted to have a little bit of budget. So. Yeah. So I don't know. What did you want to ask Ness? Sorry.
That's crazy. I mean,
I'm just excited now.
Yeah, it's
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to share it with everyone because it is a really good watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's the type of thing that we always say on the show and the whole point of the show. And it comes up so often when we're talking to people from around here. And it's like, there's so much going on. There's so much of a hunger for all of these things. The arts are so alive and well in this area, and it's just not like people don't give it the attention that it needs, mm-hmm. And the nurturing that it needs,
I think that comes from the creators who are working in this area, because most artists, when they start to get really serious about what they're doing, they take off.
Yeah.
They go out west, or they go to New York, or down to Miami, because there's a great scene down there with Art Basel and all that. They don't stay in Lehigh Valley because they don't feel that there is a structure, there's a support system there for them. And guess what? They're right. There isn't. Because there unfortunately isn't enough money or resources by the institutions who are currently tasked to do this. So instead of bashing them, well, let's start up a little bit and then get it to the point where we can tie back in with them.
Yeah. Because
as much as you don't like, someone might not like a certain thing, well, we have the power to make it better then. Mm-hmm. Because if we have a local museum, well, let's make that museum amazing. If the museum isn't great, we want a great museum, right? Or do we want a bad museum? And that's where we're saying it. So because the artists, the creators aren't taking it serious, why should anybody else?
Right.
And there is a lot of great stuff going on right there, but we need people to stick here. If you're listening to this and you've moved away, move back, please. Come back to Lehigh Valley. If you're in other cities around the world, Allentown, Lehigh Valley is booming. Houses are super cheap. Get them while you can. Come now, because once we start getting going, there's not going to be too many houses left. So, and I think creators really are the kind of people that we should be leading. Or I'm sorry, following. They should be the leaders, because they have very unique ideas into things. And they're socially conscious, they're environmentally conscious, they're hip on social issues that are affecting our generation, which a lot of policymakers and lawmakers are just, even if they're just a little out of touch, they're still out of touch. Mm-hmm. So it's really up to college kids and people in their 20s and 30s, I think, to enact change.
Yeah.
And I think that's always going to be where it's at. I'm not going to say 50 when I'm 50, because I'm going to be like, yeah, the youth is where it's at.
Yeah. Right.
And we have the power to make it happen. And I mean, I could have just chose to be lazy and not have made a movie. The only reason I did it was because the area needed this. The main audience for Queen City, the film about ArtsFest, is other artists around the world. I want to show, not tell, what we're doing. And hoping that they care enough or are moved or inspired enough that we cared enough to do this. The first year we lost probably over $30,000 in the festival, and we kept doing it, without having funding, because it needed to happen. And we need to inspire people to do that. And so I'm hoping this movie can just be a little tiny Lego brick in the Harry Potter set. It's like 40,000 pieces.
So you've talked a lot about ArtsFest, and since the documentary's about it, but how would you describe it in itself?
ArtsFest?
Yeah.
ArtsFest is really focused on celebrating outsider art and music, things that you wouldn't see, maybe in smaller forms at things like music fests, we're not trying to compete with anything. We're trying to be complementary. So what we see as lacking in the area, we want to put a focus on. So you're not seeing a lot of like punk bands and metal bands and hip hop. And when we tell people that they're playing on the main stage, and like, well, I have to, how badly do I have to censor myself? I'm like, you just don't like cut yourself on stage or throw feces. Aside from that, like if you got some F-bombs, I mean, that's your music. That's your art. I don't want to change what your art is. And if someone's not digging it, there's 5 other tents right down the path you could check out. And that's what it is. And I'm okay with putting things that some would say are rocking the boat, because they're not. These are cultures that I grew up around. They're super interesting, but there's no place for them. So let's give them a home. Let's make society understand these are real people and they're engaging in real art forms. And once we started showing graffiti artists painting and people saw, guess what? The people in Allentown that have seen it, they don't see graffiti as a crime anymore. Neither does the city of Allentown or the Allentown Police Department. Wow. Just because we gave a platform for everyone to do it in the right way. And literally within a year, it completely changed the city as far as their approach to graffiti. So ArtsFest is really meant to celebrate these outsider art forms that don't currently have a place. And it's always going to be a free event, because we want the poorest of residents in the city of Allentown, because we have a 28% poverty rate. I mean, how can I ask anyone for anything when 28% of the city is in poverty? We have major things to fix. And I like to call ArtsFest is what I like to call a beautiful distraction. You just put on something that's so cool and so amazing that all the other stuff that they're engaged with that's pulling them down, they just forget about it because they're involved with this instead. And I highly encourage people to start their own music venues and podcasts and write their own books and make their own films, make your own video games, because it's going to inspire the people to do the same. And once we do that, there's going to be this lack of hopelessness that I think a lot of people feel, where it's like, okay, well, now I know I can do it. And that empowers you. Okay, I did this project. Now what can I do? So tackling a small project, can lead you to bigger things like ArtsFest. And 2019 is going to be our 6th year, and it's last year we had over 25,000 people, and it's going to be, I think, really, really huge this year. So I'm excited to share it.
I imagine you were feeling all those things when you were first starting this, and then you got that gut punch of losing 30 grand. Were you like, maybe that might have been a bad idea, or were you kind of prepared for that going in?
We were prepared for the worst. This was like the worst times 5. So it was bad. And it took a mental toll on us, a physical toll, which, by the way, because of how bad the first year is, it's still affecting us almost 6 years later. And we're still dealing with it. And we can't fund programs because of it. We can't pay staff. We're all volunteers yet. But at the end of the day, it wasn't about us. It was about what the area needed. And if we didn't do it, it wasn't going to happen. And after the first ArtsFest, there was a lot of talk internally about whether to even do it the next year or take a year off. I made the call as gallery director to push forward and do it, because I'm all about consistency. If once you lose momentum, because the first year we lost a ton of money, but it was such an amazing experience. I've never been so invigorated in my life to just put in so much work, have this thing unfold and happen, because we planned the whole thing in 3 months. The first ArtsFest. By the time we got approval, I'm talking about tents, table rentals. We had a fence in the whole thing, our insurance, liquor license, all the vendors, all the stages, all the bands, everything in 3 months, which was insane. But we made it happen. And it was that like weight of, okay, it's amazing and it's good for the area, but also we can't do it. Maybe we should take a year off. Maybe we should find help. I was like, for this to work, it has to happen a certain way. And I'm glad we pushed through, because ArtsFest might not be a thing if we took a year off. I was afraid that if we took a year off, that would have been it. And it couldn't just be a once and done thing for me. So I'm glad we pushed through, because now it's finally getting to where it needs to be. Last year was the first year we actually sold out all vendor spots. So that was a huge accomplishment for us. We're only adding about 10 or 15 more vendor spots this year. So now we get to be more selective about what we show. We can be more detailed as far as our curation of what we show. Because of course you want to help out everyone, but that's not practical. So you have to be realistic about it. And, we don't want to turn anybody away, but as the festival grows, unfortunately, we will have to turn more and more people away, which is why more people should start their own festivals, so that there's more to go to, more opportunity.
Do you have any favorite vendors from last year?
Favorite vendors?
That sticks out. Yeah, I don't want to put labels on anybody, make anybody jealous. But
So there were a lot of great vendors. I can say this: I'm not one that knew the vendors the best because that's an aspect of the festival that I'm not hands on with, and a lot of my shooting was focused more on the live performances and graffiti and breakdance and that stuff. The henna tattoo lady, she became really good friends with us, especially the festival director Bernie. We have this amazing community of vendors that all help each other out. Like this really cool guy that sells bat houses and bird houses. And and so
that's amazing.
And he makes them look like little homes and cabins, and there's one that he had to look like a castle. So that, I mean, there was so much great art, but that for me was just so weird and unique. And we've had him before, and it was cool to have him back.
Bats need homes, man.
Yeah,
they're
No, we're trying to do that at our building because we get a lot of bats in our building, and you ever try chasing a bat?
Very difficult.
It's also kind of scary.
A little bit.
One got in my house one time.
Yeah.
Actually, no, one was in my house, and we opened the door to let him out, and then a second one flew in. So there's 2 bats in my house.
Oh, there was one day when I had 5 at once. Yeah. And literally how I get them was I just get a tablecloth and I either pluck them off the wall or you gotta get them out of the sky and just pick them up off the ground and you put them outside because I can't kill them.
Yeah.
Bats eat 1,000 up to 1,000 mosquitoes an hour. I'm not killing a single bat.
They're amazing for the ecosystem.
Yes. So
that's
definitely
why it was so bad when they had the white nose syndrome.
Yeah. No, it is a sign of a healthy ecosystem for sure.
They're bouncing back now.
Yeah, they are.
It's really good.
Hopefully the bees are next.
Yeah, for sure.
Need those bees.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Relevant, a location-based mobile network personalized by your interests. Customize your newsfeed to consolidate all the information you care about all in one place to quickly and easily find what's relevant to you. Find out what's going on in your local area and reach your community from the palm of your hand. Relevant is available on iOS and coming soon to Android. Be the first to know with Relevant.
So I just, dude, you put on ArtsFest.
Yes.
You have the alternative gallery.
Yes.
You made a documentary about the festival you made and put on. how I'm sure that the amount of responsibilities going on, the amount of things you have to juggle is very overwhelming. How do you even manage to do all of that? Like, how did you run this festival and do a documentary about it? And I can't imagine running. We put on a concert, which was stressful enough just for this one particular show. Like, I can't imagine having an entire festival going on.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't my calmest moment, but I described it before I even started shooting because I knew it was going to be insane because ArtsFest alone is insane. I was like, well, if it's already insane, I'm not really going to know the difference. I said it's going to be like playing basketball in a hurricane.
Nice.
Which is pretty close to what it was. So... but yeah, I'm glad I did it because now I came out of the depths of wherever I was with this thing. I have a thing I can show you now. And it's like, yeah, this is what I was doing all these months and stuff like that. And, when you make slow progress on a project like that, you're kind of amazed when it actually is over. You're like, wow, I actually finished it and it makes sense as a movie. So as far as responsibility, that is honestly something I'm still struggling with. Because right now, even beyond the things you've mentioned, there's so many aspects to our organization that the public isn't aware of yet.
Yeah.
Because it's just a lot of, planting and nurturing until things are at a point where we can share them publicly. Because again, I'm the kind of person show, don't tell. Yeah. Most people I knew, even family of mine, didn't even know that there was a movie until there was an announcement online or I put a postcard in somebody's hand. I love that because I love my favorite creators. Sometimes they'll put out something I had no idea they were making. Like Jim Jarmusch just put out that trailer for The Dead Don't Die, which they just announced 4 days ago. Now all of a sudden there's a trailer for it, and it's amazing.
I saw the poster for that. There's a lot of cool people in
that
movie
amazing.
too.
It's amazing the cast, and they just snuck it in there. Yeah. So yeah, it's really just knowing to understand how much you can do.
Yeah.
And delegate. And I have an amazing crew around me. I would never be able to do any of these things without them.
Anybody you'd like to shout out?
The whole AG crew. Bernie Reiner, she's been amazing with everything since day one. She became the natural director of ArtsFest just because we were all in the room together and she was doing the most. So she became the natural leader, which is actually how I became the leader of the Alternative Gallery too. There were 4 artists that started it. And from the get-go, like I was kind of a little bit more serious about what I was doing, and then just started doing things because nobody else was. Then only after enough time had passed, I'm like, oh, I guess like I'm the guy that's in charge. And I never, because I like to hang out in the woods by myself. I didn't like want to run things or like, don't ask me questions. I want to go hang out in this tree. Like
eventually you have to name some, like put names on things, and it's like, oh, wait a second.
That's weird. That gets weird.
Wait, that was me this whole time.
So I mean, I got my entire crew. Tom and Vic. Tom is our sound guy for most of our shows. So any bands out there, if you sounded amazing, it's totally because Tom Evans is amazing and he's total just animal. And he also runs Tom's Wood, which is a wood shop that we have going on in our building. Vic runs Inkown Press. It's a print shop that we have in our building because it is a very multifaceted building. And yeah, I mean, just everyone in my crew, like there's about 10 of the core crew, and they make everything happen. I'm talking about from shoveling snow to dealing with tenant needs, to dealing with every little issue that comes up, including bats, including trash, And so it's hard for us to be creative because you have to find time. And then when you find time, okay, am I feeling it? Do I have the right idea? Am I in the groove? No, for me, it was a no for almost 7 years until I finally got back to making a film. And even as I was editing this film, my office is in the first floor, like the most busy part of the gallery. And I was editing this most days with my door open. And security cameras can attest. I mean, you got I have dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people coming to see me on a daily basis. And so to stop every 2 seconds to talk to someone, even if it's only for a minute. Yeah. Because if you lose, you know how it is with editing. You got to go back, watch those 3 minutes over again to see how it flows. Someone else walks in.
That is literally impossible to me. There's no way I could have done what you just did.
Yeah, it wasn't thrilling, but me having my door open in our building prevents a lot of crazy stuff. So it was in the end still saving me a lot of trouble. And it is what it is. For me to want these things, I have to do that. So as much as I didn't like it, it's better than not having it. So you have to adapt. And I think humans are adapt. Humans can pretty much sink into any situation and become it. So it's really how formative you are in that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still managing it. I'm trying to remove myself more from the day-to-day operations and focus more on big picture, launching big projects like Animation Festival, which we do in July. I'm still festival director of that too. So literally this week I'm going into Animation Fest mode. So I'll be doing this Animation Festival and ArtsFest all at the same time. So I'm trying to bring on new people. If you want to volunteer, the alternative gallery is all volunteer run. We do a number of things. We need help in every direction. So we just like to find people who are really serious about what they're doing or need some kind of structure in their life, because the galleries helped a lot of people really get their lives together. And that's been more rewarding to me than anything. Like I've literally seen it keep people out of jail. I've had to send emails or faxes to judges 30 minutes before sentencing to try to keep people, from a lesser sentence or out of jail entirely. Probation officers, and it's because people need those chances, and it's too quick for us to judge people. And I would not be where I am today if it weren't for people giving me chances. Because I made all kinds of mistakes in my life. I guarantee I've made bigger mistakes and more mistakes than anyone sitting in this room. And it doesn't make me any... But it's all how you bounce back from it. Don't make the same mistake twice, really. Yeah, for sure. So I'm cool with that. Repeat offender, I'm not down with that. So, it's just... I don't know. I'm still figuring out it, I guess is the short answer.
Yeah. Very short answer. If it weren't for... I'm not from actually around here. I'm from Tamaqua, kind of far away.
That's where my family's from too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
The Bittner General Store that was down there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's my Aunt Susie.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
That's interesting.
That's my Aunt Susie.
That's
my grandmother's side. Yeah.
That's just great. It's a big thing. Yeah.
It's a cool little town. I like it. I like Tamaqua.
Well, yeah, it will.
I know it's got its problems right now.
It does.
You don't have to talk about that.
But everywhere it does.
But it's still quaint.
It is. And even in that town now, we have the Tamaqua Arts Center, which has come up. And it's already been, in my opinion, doing wonders for... If that art center wasn't there, there'd be so many more people than there already is feeling left out, feeling like they have no outlets, and turning to less desirable activities.
That opened 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm. So something like that. It's very
I've been trying to get there because I would like to link in with them, because I think a network of organizations like that could have a lot of impact.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, if it isn't for programs like that, I think it's very easy for like the youth and things like that to just, I think it's bad. There's nothing good that comes out of people being bored and feeling disenfranchised.
That's one of the things I meant when one of the worst things for an artist is too much freedom.
Yeah.
People need an outlet. Structure. And if there's no good outlet, they'll take a bad outlet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
And honestly, I mean, let's be honest here. The public school system, the way that it's kind of constructed right now, it's not really giving a lot of hope or, opportunity for kids.
Or creativity.
No, it's not at all. I mean, almost all schools have cut it completely across the board, both art and music. Yep. So, I mean, where do the dreamers fit in? I couldn't stand high school. It wasn't for me because all I wanted to do was make movies and hang out with my friends who were breakdancers and watch them do graffiti. Like, that was my life. And I was discouraged to do that because it wasn't this structure of, you need to go to college and do this and that. I'm like, that's not what's going to make me happy, regardless of how much I make. Mm-hmm. My happiness is not based on my wealth. It's based on what am I doing what I want to be doing? Yes, good. Stay where you are. No? Okay, well then do something else. I mean, it really should come down to that. We have one shot at this to make our journey what we want it to be. You have choices. You have decision-making power. Flex that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you saying about not being from the area?
Well, no, but I also think it's interesting because, I mean, I am familiar enough with this area to, like, I've gone to Music Fest every year for, like, the past, well, actually, I didn't get to this summer, unfortunately, because we were very busy with all this, but...
That's a good reason.
But I have gone, many years in a row for a while, and you said you wanted to be complimentary to things like that also going on in this area. And you mentioned some interesting things such as like having a focus on upcoming technology and game developers and giving a platform to them as well, which I find, and we were talking a little bit before the show, and you said like things like that, they are art. And a lot of times people don't view them as such. Correct. And that needs to change too.
Well, and that right there is immediately tied into just how American society views the arts. Mm-hmm. We view the arts, the average American, as I have no purpose and no reason to be in an art gallery if I do not have a painting in there, if I'm not an artist, or if I'm not an art buyer/collector. So most people are not those things. So most people are not going out to these places. They're not having these unique experiences and seeing, like, artists, like it or not, they set the trends. Mm-hmm. What an artist is doing today, that's what's coming in 10 years. That's just how it works because they are setting the curve, and we need to change that. We need people to know that art is for everyone. I would like America to have a bit more European sentiment where art and culture is involved in our everyday, abilities and just our lives, because the fact that we detach it is keeping us from supporting our artists. And I very much view technology as art. And I focus literally on that technology as art. And I hate that you have to have hot words and catchphrases like that, but it works. People get it. And technology is functional art. Every new technological achievement, we create new mediums of art. I mean, look at what computers have done. I mean, we can spend a month straight talking about the art they could do just because of computers. Yeah. 3D printing.
There's one right outside.
I mean, they 3D printed a car that works all with the printer. The thing I'm most excited about how these things will help society. 3D printers, I think the biggest thing from them, they're going to be able to 3D print organs. They already can. It's just not commercially viable yet. And guess what? Because it's your DNA, your body won't reject it. You won't have the need for organ donors anymore. Maybe in like weird, unique cases, but it's going to save a lot of lives. It really is. So I think people adopting new technologies helps make them affordable, which helps more people tap into it. I mean, how many times you've heard a story about like a high schooler or like a college kid who discovers some kind of brand new I mean, the ocean cleanup project is happening right now. That was created by a 17-year-old kid, 17 years old. And now his idea is cleaning our oceans. That kid's idea is what's going to save the world. So I want to take technology and put it in the hands of everyone, not just those who have the luxury of affording it, every single person. Because I am very much a believer that if everyone can't have access to it, nobody should have access to it. We shouldn't be determined what we can do based on our bank account. So I want to have ArtsFest, which will always be free. You will never pay admission to get into an ArtsFest. I want people to see these future technologies and I want to put it in their hands. Almost like a trade show. But guess what? These guys aren't going to trade shows. Yeah. So I want to utilize technology as art and then use it to basically retrain people that, are just in broken communities. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we eventually want to create a maker space with 3D printing, eventual robotics. I say that I know nothing about robotics, but at the same time, I'm already not qualified to do any things I'm currently doing. And that hasn't stopped me so far. So maybe we'll build a robot next. I don't know.
You got to ride it out at this point. You can't stop now.
That's right. That's what I see how far this wave takes me. Crash into a wall or something, but it's been a fun ride.
Or into a robot.
That's right. And then I could transfer my consciousness into it. Just upgrade every 5 years and be okay.
I think that's the next logical step of human evolution.
We're getting there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very excited about it.
A Westworld thing? Like a Westworld. I think that's a spoiler, actually. I'm really sorry, everybody.
There's a million robots in that show, dude.
Westworld is amazing. I was hooked so hard on that show.
Same.
I love it, but it takes like 2 years to make a season, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such
when each episode's like
Shogun
a movie,
World. I would totally hang out there. So even as things are going wrong, I'm like, all right, cool. This is a risk.
If I'm going out, I'm going out by a robot samurai.
Yeah, right.
That's just what I would do.
That's what's up. I actually named my cat Akira after Kurosawa, the Japanese filmmaker.
Yes,
all the greatest samurai films ever. So yeah,
Kurosawa is amazing.
Yeah, he's my favorite filmmaker of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seven Samurai changed my life.
Dude, Marvel could learn so much from observing Kurosawa's work in terms of action on film.
And editing
on action and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's actually, if you watch the Criterion disc, I'm sure it's on the new one. I had the original disc. They had a film historian who did the commentary, and a big focus of his was the editing. And he would point out moments of how it was so masterful, especially going right into that final 45-minute fight, which was, because that film for me, like I'd only really seen like Hollywood movies. My first obsession was Ghostbusters. That's kind of what put me in the path for wanting to make movies, because it was like such a magical thing. But then when I saw Seven Samurai, I'm like, wow, movies can be this.
Yeah, that movie's insane.
And the other movie that really changed it for me was Terry Gilliam's Brazil. That movie, because the practical effects alone in that film are just, there's no digital effects today, 36 years later, 37 years later, can still match this. Wow. That's how insane it was. I still watch it, even watching the documentary, how they made it, I watched it, I'm like, how did they do this? And I know already. So
that's film magic.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and I'm also obsessed with long takes. So movies that are made to look like one long take. Birdman, love you, Birdman, so good.
Yeah, that was pretty groundbreaking.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. What else you want to talk about?
Dude, I want to talk about Seven Samurai.
I can talk about everything. I can talk about movies for the next 5 hours.
I watched Seven Samurai on the way back from Maine in the back seat of like an SUV, and there's a little screen, and that ride flew by. So I was like, I didn't know how long it was, because it's like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's like 3 hours and 40 minutes.
And I checked the back of the box before. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this, and it just flew by.
Yeah, 1954. Yeah, it's over 3 hours long. And you obviously know that it was remade into Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
And then Yojimbo and Senjuro, those were remade into Fistful of Dollars, and for a few dollars more.
Oh, really?
Yep. Which was then also remade into Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis, which is still an awesome film.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. You ever see that?
I see that. Yeah. I just, I just wasn't really thinking Last Man Standing was worth a watch, but I guess in that
it's
context,
like it's diluted Kurosawa, if that makes you want it, and then just like Bruce Willis gets shot in the gut and then just comes back and still gets everyone. So.
It's amazing. It's amazing you make a movie so good it was diluted twice, and it's still
good.
Well, Hollywood loves to rehash stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what the kind of stuff I like to make. Like I'm pursuing to make, because right now I'm focused a lot on documentary. But these scripts that I'm writing, I'm only making them because once I had the idea, I was annoyed the movie didn't exist already.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to watch it, and I'm like, what better reason to make a movie? Like
that's the best reason.
Right. That's what I think. You know, aside from documentary, because documentary is I think a lot of good purposes of why you make a documentary film. Because I think documentaries do have potential to enact real social change.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because a lot of problems, the first step to solving it is making people aware that there is a problem. So, but yeah, the screening we're doing on April 11th at Emmaus Theater, the money we get from that is actually going to fund 7 short documentaries. So that is the next phase after that.
The Insight.
Yes, the Insight film series. So the Insight film series, which we bring out documentary and nonfiction film works, we'll do both found footage, home movies, short documentaries, and then we'll actually produce content as well. Now, right now, it's just going to be me directing them, but that's just to get it started. But I want to bring in other filmmakers and actually fund these films through various ways. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we're very excited about it.
I think that's what this area needs, man. I think that's what people need. And I think that's what's going to really breathe new life into this area and everything going on.
Yeah, we really,
everyone's
like,
attitude
there needs
towards
to be
it.
a place for them to congregate. Because I've met so many cool people over the last year that we've really been doing this that I never would have met otherwise, even though we're into exactly the same stuff.
Congregation points are the absolute most essential thing that you need. Because without that, you could have these ideas, but they're less likely going to happen. You need people that are just in a room talking. Online's cool too, but nothing is going to beat just human interaction, just, passing ideas around. And like I said, that's what motivates us. Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's not do it. Let's do it today. Let's do it right now. We need more of that attitude. And, even as far as the arts, even if we just made like a simple economic decision, I don't know if you saw this report that came out about 2 weeks ago, but last year, the United States economy, arts accounted for almost 5% of the entire U.S. economy.
Wow.
That's as far as people that work in arts-related fields or actual money made off of sales of artwork. That made more than transportation, which includes airfare, trains, Uber, and even made more than agriculture. The arts last year in America made more money than food.
That's insane.
Why are we not taking that serious?
Yeah, right.
Why are we not taking that serious? Even if it's just basic economics, you will make money. You will generate income off of that. If done right, of course.
Yeah.
The craziest thing I've heard from doing all what we do with Lab 212 and even the show and everything like that, and it's from people I think I would definitely contest. It's from a lot of people that don't know the full breadth of what we do or what this industry is about or anything going on really. But is that this idea that you will not make any money off of being an artist, which I find so absurd, especially in
the
today's
evil phrase
age.
of real job.
Yeah, real job. That gets said very often to a lot of us.
That unfortunately is currently true, though. I mean, I make no money. Most artists I know are completely broke because, again, the structure isn't there currently in Lehigh Valley.
Here,
So anyone that I know that's making real money on art that still lives in Lehigh Valley, they don't sell in Lehigh Valley. That says a lot. We need to change that because this will always be home base for me. I want to go around the world and do all these amazing things, but this is home, and we can make it something special. But yeah, and that's also the attitude of people that we have to change too. So it's not just one thing; it's multiple things. And getting people to take it serious, I really think, starts with the people who are doing it, taking it serious. And if you got a naysayer saying something like that, well, then give me one idea that will fix it. Guess what? They're gonna have zero.
Yeah.
Because if they had an idea, they would have been talking about that idea instead of just trashing it. It's like, okay, you have an opinion, you dislike something, that's fine. But you're even if you unconsciously doing it, you're convincing other people to not support this stuff as well.
Right.
Because when
terrible.
People laughed in my face, both literally and through messages they would send me online when I started an art gallery in Allentown.
Really?
Yeah, because back then, I mean, the only art stuff happening in the whole area where there was a little bit in Easton, like Connections Gallery and stuff like that, which those guys are great. If you ever go to Easton, stop there. I love those guys. And Bethlehem had a lot of cool DIY spots.
Yeah.
But the problem is in Lehigh Valley, DIY spots have a lifespan of like 2 to 5 years max. 5 years is like granddaddy for a DIY spot. So for us to be at 7 is kind of like we've already defied the odds.
Right.
Because there's either not the structure there or the support, or it kind of seems to cannibalize itself, which DIY communities do around the country. It's not unique to Lehigh Valley.
What do you mean by that?
Where you have this outpouring of support and calling for a new venue, and then it happens, and it's good for a while because it's a new thing, and then people are very quick to find things they don't like and turn them into bigger issues, and it often leads to the place shutting down, because people get sick of dealing with it and they just walk away. And there's only so many people willing to do it.
So you're saying that artists involved with it in themselves, they find reasons.
Sometimes the artists.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be. It's not anyone specific, but it's those that run in the DIY communities. I don't know if it's just lack of leadership or what it is, but it happened here long before I ever started a space. And the more I talk to people, the more I'm finding out this is kind of the case everywhere, in America at least. And I think it's a very American problem. I don't know what it is, but I mean, us working together will help squash that, but it's a long road to do something like that.
I think the only way, striking out on your own, trying to do it on your own, like it's just you got to have a community, you got to have people behind you, and you got to all be together trying to reach these goals together. That's the easiest path to success, in my opinion. Yeah, it's through an amazing network of amazing people, surrounding yourself with people who are encouraging and supportive and want to help, and you help them. And that's what will, I think, as you said, defy the odds.
I agree.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think it's totally practical. It's like we know all the answers.
Yeah.
We're not fully implementing most of them. So
Yeah, just got to put it into practice.
yeah, just, support someone that's making something cool. So one of the things we're doing, we haven't announced it yet, but I'll talk about it just because it's a simple idea, and steal it if you want. So you can't recycle pizza boxes.
Yeah.
So pretty much all pizza boxes end up in the trash. So I thought of this idea. I want to make pizza box art, where I have artists. They'll come in. They'll just do art on pizza boxes, and we're going to sell them for $20 a piece. Pretty much, and the people that come to my shows,
$20, you can just buy another pizza and keep it going.
that's right, keep it going.
Pizza chain.
Pretty much anyone could afford a $20 piece of art. And being that most of our supporters don't have a ton of money, that's doable for them. And it's also, you're saving in a crazy way. You're saving these boxes being in a landfill. So just simple ideas like that, that's identifying a very, very small problem. Like the reason I came up with it was because we have to separate our recycling from our trash at our building, commercial recycling, and you can't recycle pizza boxes. And I don't know about you guys, but we eat a lot of pizza.
Oh yeah.
Like once a week at
And
least.
I feel really, really guilty about throwing away all these boxes. And I'm like, all right. And I was like, there we go. And that right there, if we kind of push the environmental aspect, we could make a good deal of money on that, which could fund who knows what. Solar panels, a paid position, new things for the kids' classroom, new PA speakers for our shows, which are heavily used, especially microphones. Yeah. I'm surprised our microphones don't go quicker after, especially the punk shows. But
I saw a punk show at ArtsFest last year. It was crazy. It was like a crowd of like 5 people moshing, and they were having the time of their lives.
That's great. I love that.
This is exactly. I fell in love. Like I went home and started listening to Misfits because that's how they ended their set, and I'm like, this is where I want to be.
And you know what? And I think in our own way, we've kind of unintentionally become like a punk venue. Not even so much for the style of music, but just the attitude.
Yeah.
Because real punk music, if you do your homework, it wasn't anti-government. It was let's help out those who can't help themselves, which is like that's where I found myself unintentionally. And they would throw these crazy shows, get out their aggression, and they would oftentimes use money to go out and buy groceries and feed homeless people. They were often done in houses that they owned, and anyone could stay there. They could help out. They were community driven by people that were basically cast aside by society. No one was willing to help them out. And that's not right for anyone. And that's, again, these are American ideals that we're kind of stuck with at the moment, that, if you don't have like a real job, what is that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I don't make any money off of what I'm doing, but I think I contribute a lot more to society than most people. I don't go around like touting that, but the fact that you feel there's no weight in what we do is crazy. Because like I've already said here on this podcast, like I've literally kept people off drugs. I've helped people stay out of prison. Like I've watched people get their lives together, kick drug addictions and actually start careers. How more can you empower someone? And the fact that we don't have government support from that is astounding.
Yeah.
If you want to invest in your community, start dumping money in community centers like that. Let them take care of it. Because the APD, Allentown Police Department, if they ever show up at the gallery, it's because they're just passing through and want to get a cup of coffee and they're coming to hang out.
Yeah.
We have no problems there because of the way we run our community. And I want to help spread that. I want that to be in more places, because as cool as like my movie is, Queen City, there's so many more people can be making movies.
Yeah.
And I want to help them to do that. Not just movies, all kinds of art forms. So yeah, we got to support our creators. And I'm glad that, you have a focus on that, and because those are the people that should be leading the path for sure.
We're trying.
Well,
man. We're all trying.
As much as I hate to say it, we're almost at an hour. Yeah. Unfortunately, as much fun as this was.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you want to shout out anybody in particular where people can support the gallery and stuff.
We got Queen City coming out April 11th at the Amaze Theater. You can get tickets now at both Alternative Gallery and the Amaze Theater. Obviously, their night of as well. Thank you to my entire crew, both ArtsFest and AG, for all the years of support. Thank you for everyone who's come out to a show or ever given us a pat on the back, or, just their time for us to let me rant and talk about, what I'm so passionate about. And because, I feel we don't have a lot of time to make these changes, and I want to see it happen quick. And I think if we get all the right people together, we can do it quick. So we are leaving dark times and going to great times. Yeah. So just support each other, and just, it's really that simple. Just take care of each other.
Are there any social media pages where people could find
we have Instagram, but we're kind of bad with that right now. I'm trying to fix that. So Facebook is what we update the most right now. The Alternative Gallery, ArtsFest has its own. Open World Animation Festival for the Animation Festival, obviously. And then thealternativegallery.com. Those are the main source of information. And just come see us, 4th and Tillman. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm always there. Just come chat with me. I'd love to show people around or just kind of show them what we're doing, you know? And thank you for having me so much. I appreciate
Thanks
this.
so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
I want to shout out this guy in Lehigh Valley named Brandon Wunder, who has done so many cool things, and you're doing so much good stuff for the community.
Thank you. I appreciate
you so
that.
much.
Thank
It's
you.
incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I totally agree. And instead of shamelessly plugging our stuff, I think I kind of want to say I kind of would rather close it off with saying, like, if it weren't for art and it weren't for artists taking a chance and making things that they love, I know I definitely wouldn't be sitting in this seat right now. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there. So, you know, encourage those artists to do things like that, because for some people, it's all they have, you know? So for sure. Thank you so much for watching and listening.
Thank you.
Brandon, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And we'll catch you guys later. Poorly Led Podcast signing out.
All right. Hope to come back.